Hello everyone, welcome to Common Core with the Classics with me, Mr. B. Today we are talking about conflict. Okay, today we're talking about conflict. Conflict is the most important part of any good story. Without a good conflict, your story's probably going to be kind of boring. The whole point of a story is to tell something exciting or meaningful or important that has happened. And so, generally speaking, you're going to need a conflict for that interesting thing to be important. Today, we're going to look at three different games. We're going to look at Ninja Gaiden, River City Ransom, and Castlevania III. These are three games that really set up their conflict really well from right off the bat. So, first of all, let's kind of have a working definition for what conflict is. You need three things really to have a very clear conflict. The first part, you need to have a main character, which is also known as a protagonist. The protagonist is the main character that your story is about. Now, some people like to say, well, the protagonist is the good guy. That's not always true. The protagonist doesn't necessarily have to be someone who is doing good things like saving a princess or fighting against evil. Sometimes the main character of your story might be a bad guy. And so you have to keep that in mind. Don't define the protagonist as the good guy. You want to define the protagonist as the main character of the story. Protagonist comes from a Greek word for the bringer of the action. So you have to have a protagonist. The opposite of the protagonist is the antagonist. The antagonist is the person who tries to get in the protagonist's way of solving the third part of a conflict. There must be a problem. So the problem is whatever it is that the protagonist is trying to fix or solve or achieve. So the three parts. Protagonist has a problem, and the antagonist is trying to keep them from solving the problem. So pretty simple, right? You have to have those three things, or your story is going to be really kind of weak. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden is notorious for its difficulty. I can tell you right now that there's no way that I could beat it. Now, I have previously recorded this episode and died a number of times. The reason why I didn't use that recording is because the mouth didn't sync up right in my video, and so that's why I'm like 3 weeks late on this, because I haven't had a good opportunity to record. So anyway, oh yeah, you might have noticed I finally got a haircut. Anyway, here we go. Ninja Gaiden. Now Ninja Gaiden has a really great opening cinematic. Video games now have cutscenes all the time. Ninja Gaiden was one of the first ones to do a really cool one. So here we go with our Ninja Gaiden cutscene. So a couple ninjas already. I'm like, oh, ninjas, super cool. And they're running. Oh, he's running at him. He's running at the other one. Oh boy, they're going faster and faster. That's what those lines mean, right? Okay. Isn't that exciting? That's a great introduction or a lead to the story. With whom did father have a duel with and lose? For what reason did he fight and die? Ooh, even I don't know for sure. Okay. So I'm starting to get a feel. Okay, so somebody's father was killed. Alright, right on. The day after he disappeared in my father's room, I found a letter addressed to me. Ooh, it seems like we're starting to get our problem. It said, Ryu, I'm on my way to a life or death duel. If it is destiny that I not return, you are to take the dragon sword of the Hayabusa family and go to America and see the archaeologist Walter Smith. Okay, Ryu, always be brave. I will get my revenge. So right there, we have got our problem all set up for us. Our protagonist is Ryu. His problem is kind of both that he needs to go and visit this doctor in America, and also he needs to get his revenge. Now, we don't have a very clear antagonist as far as somebody who's named, but we can say that the antagonist is his father's murderer. Because really, if we're talking about a mystery story, which I suppose you could consider this to be kind of a mystery, you're going to need to have an antagonist that maybe you don't know exactly who it is yet. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and play a little bit of this Nintendo gem. Everything's set up, we're ready to go. So, Ninja Gaiden, we know what our problem is, our conflict, so we're going to have our little protagonist here, Ryu, and he's going to go and try to find revenge. And so, part of the Rising action, we talked about Rising action last week, or a month ago almost now. The Rising action is, you know, obviously if somebody was there to kill his father, they're probably not going to be happy about you trying to figure out who did it. And so, here we go. Ninja Gaiden's an action game kind of reminiscent of Castlevania. One of the things that Ninja Gaiden is always criticized for is the infinitely respawning enemies. See, like, no matter how many times I kill that jumping weird thing, it's going to come back as soon as I scroll the screen to wherever it spawned from. So, big pain in the butt. That's part of what the difficulty is with this game, is there's section with these birds and stuff that just can't be stopped. So, we're not going to get to that part because I am not that good at this game, as you maybe will see here. It's a lot like Castlevania in a lot of ways. You get what's called sub-weapons, which is where you have another weapon that you can throw, although for some reason it's not working for me to throw it. This was one of the first games that you could play that, see, look at that thing, just keeps coming back. One of the first games that you could play that had wall grabbing and wall climbing. Kind of cool. Now that's kind of a big thing. This game was also before the advent of double jumps. It's like every action game now has a double jump. And it's like, that's not a real thing. I've never been able to jump in real life and then like jump again in the middle of the air. So yeah, this is before then. Now I would say that if they made this game again, you would probably have a double jump. Okay. The one thing that's weird about being on the wall is they won't let you climb up and down. It's like you just have to stop there and hope there's somewhere else for you to jump to. Okay, so we're almost to the first boss here. Do you see these? And I can't tell, is that like a man who is like jumping on the ground there? Oh. Is that like a man running across or what? And why are there just like why are there just like 20 guys with boxing gloves on the streets just like ready? Hey man, just in case a ninja comes by, I want you to have your boxing gloves out and be ready. Same thing with this guy. Like, I can see maybe this is a bar. Maybe he's like the chef. I get that. Cool, you know. I'm guessing he's the chef because he has this weird cleaver thing. Oh, and I got him. But like, oh, I see the ninjas coming. I better put on my hockey mask and grab my cleaver. Just kind of weird. So, just like we talked about before, that was a good rising action part of the story. And as a part of the rising action, they're going to give us a little bit more story about the plot. So, who's there? What's happening? Ooh, it's a lady. Just a girl. Get out of here. So, for some reason, Japanese video games in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, the women had this weird hair. Like, I've never seen... You can watch old Japanese anime, and they have this weird hair. So anyway, there was another little mini climax. I don't know who that girl is and why she's pointing a gun at me, but it looks like she's, what, putting me in jail? Yeah, she's putting me in jail. I honestly don't remember exactly how this story unfolds. I honestly haven't played this game in probably a decade. So, I got a favor to ask of you, so now we're getting another little bit of the story. I am going to... Oh, this is exciting, though. It's a statue. There's no time to explain. Sorry if you just heard a kitty cat right next to me. He's interested in recording with us, I guess. Yeah, so you can see here, he's obviously confused. This is another exciting plot point that we need to figure out. Yeah, games at this time did not have that kind of a storytelling where you go to a cutscene. So, really kind of a revolutionary thing. But we're going to stop there. We're going to move on to our next game, River City Ransom, in just a second here. Okay, River City Ransom, another great classic game. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Adam. We played this game all the time. He's my friend that I most played Nintendo with so much when we were kids. We were either running around outside, riding bikes and causing trouble and hitting each other with construction stakes that we were playing with like they were swords, or we were down in his basement playing video games. So this was one of the first games that we played. Played this game together. It's a great co-op game if you can get your hands on it. There's a really great version of it for the Game Boy Advance, but you don't get co-op that way. So, there you go. So let's talk about this game. We need to figure out what is the what is the problem, who is the protagonist, and who is the antagonist, and we're going to get that information really quickly right away at the beginning of this one. Obviously, you can choose between these two handsome gents. You can change their names if you want to. No, not Mark. I always liked the graphics on this. I think these guys look really cool. There's a whole series of games with these sort of guys. It's Ricky and Cunyo, and there's a whole bunch of different games like this. So I'll name him since I was just talking about my buddy Adam. We'll put that in there too. Okay, so those are our dudes. We're going to go ahead and get started here. And skill level novice, because I don't want to get beaten up. Okay, so I hold your city captive and Ryan's girlfriend hostage. With my gang of students and evil bosses, nobody can stop me now. Meet my demands or else. P.S. Alex and Ryan, if you interfere, you'll be in for the fight of your lives. Signed, Slick. Oh my gosh, what a perfect setup to this game. We have everything we want right there. Our protagonists, Alex and Ryan, obviously they're the ones who are going to interfere. So we have our protagonist written right there. Our problem, he's holding the city captive and he's got Ryan's girlfriend. So we know the problem is that we need to make sure that the city is safe and free, and we need to rescue his girlfriend. And then finally, that little signature at the end, Slick, tells us exactly who our antagonist is. So this is a great way to set up the story and get us off on the right foot. So our conflict is very clear. We need to save the city and the girlfriend. So here we go. River City Ransom, 1989. I was 7 years old when this game came out. Now you can see from here there's kind of like context clues, which is awesome. Oh, I must be in high school because I'm starting out at the Crosstown High School. Now they had cool names for all the characters. There's different types of gangs that you fight that are all sort of controlled by the Slick dude. These are the generic dudes, and you'll see when I defeat one that they all have names that match. If I can actually kick this guy. So Gary, I'm going to pick up this board. So that was Gary. This is Ralph. Oh, maybe I got the wrong dudes here. Larry, Ralph, Harry, and Perry. So most of them rhyme. I don't know what Ralph was doing in there because everybody else rhymes. But yeah, you see we're in the city. We're going through to try to go and fight and get the girlfriend back and save the city. I'm not going to play too far into this one. This is kind of, the gameplay is not, we love this game and it's a co-op game and that was a big part of it, but the action is a little bit repetitive. It is cool because this is one of the first action games that has role-playing game features as a part of it. And I'm going to throw this stick at him. Oh, and I'm going to miss. You get money, obviously, when you hit the guys. They drop a coin, which is exactly what happens if you fight somebody. Their pocket change immediately falls out of their pockets. But you take that money and you can buy food at the mall, which we'll get to in just a second. And eating that food increases your abilities. And you can get books in the bookstore that give you new moves. And I don't think I have enough money to buy one. But like for instance, Stone Hands makes it so when you punch like 4 times in rapid succession and do more damage. Dragon Feet does the same thing for kicks, and Acro Circus makes it so when you jump, you do like this cool twirly whirly thing, which damages enemies. But anyway, so we're gonna. I'd like to just get to the first boss. I will probably die, but we'll go ahead and give it a whirl. The music is fantastic in this game. Very memorable. It's one of those games that whenever I want to think about the music, it like automatically comes to me. You know, there's some games like if you say, "Hey, what's the Super Mario theme?" Everybody, you know, everybody kind of knows off the top of their head. Same thing with this. I think if I beat the frat guys up, then I'll get to the boss, which is not gonna happen, I don't think. Yeah, and I'm not gonna make you guys suffer through me getting the crap beat out of me. Mark has lost all of his power. So it starts you back at the mall. But we will go ahead and stop there. The frat guys, actually I'll do the frat guys. They gave them all like real rootsy Logan. And let's see what this guy's name is. Grant. Traditional like rich guy Drake sort of names. Now if your name is Drake and you're not a rich guy and you're offended, like I know I had a Drake in my class who was an awesome kiddo and was not like a snobby dude, like a snobby frat dude. My apologies. Take it up with Technos Japan, which actually I don't think exists anymore, like a lot of Japanese companies. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Like I said, this is a great game. There's also a game if you end up liking this one. There's a game called oh god, I don't remember the name of it, but it's Ricky and Kunio. It's the same style, but it's set in feudal Japan with samurais and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. It's even more of an open world than this one is. This one's definitely an open world. But let's move on to our third game. Okay, so last time we talked about Castlevania. This is the third Castlevania game. We didn't talk about that one. Let's take a look at the story they're giving us right away from the beginning. If you remember from the first two, it's probably going to be about Dracula, right? So Castlevania III, Dracula's Curse. This game goes back to the formula that the first one had. But let's go ahead and read through the story. During 15th century Europe, there lived a person named Dracula. He practiced sorcery in order to create a bad world filled with evil. So they don't even really call him out as being a vampire in this one. And you know, when I think about it, I don't know if they specifically state that anywhere. He began taking over the continent of Europe, changing countries from good to bad. The good people of Europe tried to fight off Dracula, but no one was able to survive. So that kind of gives us our problem right away. Our problem is that Dracula is taking over Europe, and he's a bad dude, and no one can stop him. Finally, the Belmont family was summoned to battle Dracula's vile forces. The Belmont family has a long history of fighting evil. A little bit of a tense change there. Maybe we'll talk about that when we come back and do some grammar stuff. The townspeople became afraid of the Belmont's superpower and asked them to leave the country. Fortunately, the people found a mighty Belmont called Trevor. Yep. Trevor Belmont. He makes an appearance again in, well, sort of an appearance in Symphony of the Night. The curse of Dracula has begun. The fate of Europe lies with Trevor. So we know Trevor's our protagonist. We know Dracula's our antagonist. And we know the problem is that Dracula is trying to take over Europe, and Trevor has to stop him. So again, another very clear conflict to make it nice and easy for us. And we'll go ahead and get started here. I don't know why they have you put in your name. I think that maybe in the Japanese version, which might have been on the Famicom Disk System, it might have had a feature to actually save your game, which you know, it would want your name for, but I don't know for sure. The Famicom Disk System, which was the Japanese version of the Nintendo Entertainment System, was a little bit different. I think that they eventually had cartridges that they used for the system, but they also had like actual floppy disks, and a lot of you are probably like, Floppy disk? What the heck is that? Just an old computer thing. So there you go. If you've ever had to click on a save icon and you've like, oh, it's a disc. I've never seen one of those before. It's just kind of a relic of times gone by. Now, I'm sure you're looking at the screen and you're going, oh, so it's just like the first Castlevania. And you would be right. Simon's Quest, I don't know how well it sold and how popular it was, but they decided that, you know, the core experience of Castlevania and things that people love about Castlevania is really this more straightforward, you know, going to go through a level, fight a boss, and move on from there. Instead of like we had in Simon's Quest, where you get to the end of a level that was kind of a level, and instead of there being a boss, you throw a wooden stake at a crystal ball. So they went back to this formula. One of the things that made this game series so appealing was the awesome monsters and stuff, and so they had to bring those back to keep the series awesome. Some really cool locations in this one. As opposed to the first Castlevania, you don't start out right away at Dracula's castle. The first few levels are your journey to the castle, including some interesting branching pathways that you can go through to try to get there, which really makes the game fun. There weren't a ton of games that were like this with branching pathways. The interesting thing is that with the branching pathways, there are levels that you might not see, you won't go to at all. There's different paths you can take that will lead to different levels and help you skip other levels. Also, depending on the path that you choose, there are secondary characters that you can recruit, including Dracula's son Alucard, who's the star of one of my favorite games, Symphony of the Night. But you will... Oh boy. You'll be able to recruit different ones based on the path that you take. You might have noticed there's obviously been some returning characters. The Medusa heads. We've got some zombies. They don't look the same as the originals, but skeletons, of course, are a mainstay of the series. Sometimes people criticize the series for reusing the character sprites or the pictures of the enemies, but I think it just contributes to the overall classic feel of the game, and I like the way it ties things together, personally. But I'm a guy who kind of likes tradition in games and likes to see only incremental changes in things. You can look at one of my favorite video game series, Final Fantasy, and man, after the sixth one, which was like 1995, they sort of lost me. They lost the fantasy setting for the most part, and it was this weird future sort of Final Fantasy VII garbage. I have nothing but rude things to say about that game. Nonetheless, moving on. There's actually a new app that just came out, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, that has a really cool story to it. It's basically a game where you collect classic Final Fantasy and I suppose newer Final Fantasy characters, and have to go through and fight through different stories of Final Fantasy, and they put a really cool story around that to frame what otherwise could just be, you know, a fanboy, whatever sort of experience. They put it together as the story is that there is a kingdom where that is their main specialty, or their main sort of reason that they're famous, or whatever, their main export, I don't know how to say it, is stories. And those stories are kept in paintings that they have on the wall, in, you know, sort of like a museum or a palace or whatever. And those hold the essence of these awesome stories that they have. And the awesome stories that they have are all the different Final Fantasy games. And so somehow there's evil has invaded the paintings and is sort of threatening to destroy all these stories and classic sort of experiences and things like that. And so your goal is to go through all these different paintings and restore whatever. It's really cool. Classic sprites, classic battle engine with some new sort of twists as far as what mobile gaming has become with free-to-play apps. It is free-to-play. It's done by a company called DNA, which has just recently, and here you can see branching pathways. DNA has just recently partnered with Nintendo, and they're going to start to do Nintendo games for mobile. And a lot of people are worried about that because they don't want Nintendo to go into a bunch of microtransactions and all that kind of stuff. But, especially after playing this Final Fantasy game, I think that Nintendo's made a good choice. DNA has really just did a great job with Final Fantasy. You can tell that they have a lot of respect for the series, and so definitely a cool experience. If you're not, if you're a kid who hasn't really played Final Fantasy, you haven't really gotten into it, it might not be something that you get super excited about. There's definitely a nostalgia factor there to where I'm like, oh my god, Cecil. So just keep that in mind. But it's definitely fun. Definitely cool to play as different characters and that sort of thing. Anyway, let me go ahead and wrap this up. I just want to remind you the 3 parts of a conflict. You have to have a protagonist who has a problem and an antagonist who is trying to keep them from accomplishing that goal. All right. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Common Core with the classics. We will see you next time when we talk about climax, falling action, and resolution with The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. So it should be fun. Till next time, bye-bye.